gentlemen. Well, mostly gentlemen because I don't know how many women are actually going to watch this video unless they enjoy getting off to stuff like this. But in today's video, I'm actually going to be talking to you about how sexual transmutation feels like, or what does sexual transmutation feel like? Because how do you know when you're doing it correctly? And I will give you 2 examples, maybe 3, depending if any more come up as I talk, that will give you a tangible connection experience that you can link to sexual transmutation so that you understand and can make that connection in your brain of how sexual transmutation works and how it actually feels like, so that you know whether or not you're doing it correctly, okay? But first and foremost, before I begin, I gotta plug my stuff. If you don't know what sexual transmutation is, or if you have read about it and you're still unclear, get my free guide that talks about what sexual transmutation is, how it actually works, and the framework behind it so that you understand the energetics, the mechanisms, the mechanics behind sexual transmutation. Now, with everything, people say it's free because they ends up selling you something, and of course, I'm going to be selling you something. Towards the end, if you like my knowledge, if you like my understanding of sexual transmutation, then I encourage you to get my full version, which is about 200 pages long and has 4 DVDs on how to do breath work so that you can circulate your sexual energy. But nevertheless, read that and you'll have a very solid understanding, solid foundation of how sexual energy works. And then from that point on, you can apply all these other stuff, okay? So with that out of the way, let's talk about how sexual transmutation, what it feels like, right? What does sexual transmutation feel like? How do you know when you're getting it down correctly, okay? So the very first example that I'm going to be sharing with you that most men should have well experienced with if you've gone to the gym before is when you're working out and then a wild, I call her feminine, right? A wild feminine appears, right? I wanted to say feline, but that's a cat, but let's call her a feline, right? A feline, right? A wild feline. Wild feminine animal appears and you're just like, all of a sudden, more intensity, Super Saiyan, right? That is sexual transmutation in its most blatant, obvious form, because instead of you directing that energy of, even though maybe you do, maybe you don't, but in my experience, it's not a conscious process, right? It just happens unconsciously. They walk into the room, your energy amplifies, and you feel it just in your cells. It just lights up your cells. You can feel your biology turning up the volume because there's a attractive female that appears, and your cells are poof, right? It's like magnetized. It's attracted to that, and because you have this insane burst of energy, you now channel this into your work or your weights unconsciously. It just happens, right? Automatically. That's transmutation on a very obvious, blatant, way. Okay, so that's one way sexual transmutation happens. Okay, and then the second way that sexual transmutation happens but first, let me finish off on that topic, okay? So it's basically peacocking, okay? So when the male sees the female, the peacock shakes the feathers or vibrates the feathers, and it moves in a certain way because the biology, the life force that is flowing through the male is wanting to express itself. But instead of wanting to express itself because it can't just literally have sex with him or her right then and there, it has to turn into action. So that's the process of transmuting the sexual energy. The cells turn into vibration, right? It amplifies in the speed of vibration because it wants to fuck, it wants to procreate, it wants to do something. So that transmutation is the most obvious form. You see this everywhere. You see a pretty girl walk in, and suddenly the guy, deepens his voice, tries to toy another guy, tries to make himself seem superior, tries to speak louder than he does, puff up his chest. All this is a form of transmuting the sexual energy in its most obvious form. So those are 1 to 2 examples of sexual transmutation that you probably have experience of. So that's what it feels like, right? A woman walks in, you perk up, you are more courageous, you're more confident, or you want to take charge, you want to take the lead because you have more life force energy flowing through you. That's the one most obvious form. Number 2, the less subtle, obvious form of transmutation In term, not just sexual energy. Let's get rid of that term again. I've said this before. Let's get rid of the sexual energy term and just say energy, okay? Artists, rappers, lyricists, people who suffer pain, these guys are master transmutators, all right? Master transmutators, okay? Why is this? Because they have pain within their body. They have pain within their heart, pain within their soul. You know, think of who's that girl who sings all the heartbroken songs. I was going to say Rolling Stone. Fuck, I forgot her name. I know you guys know it starts with an A or something like that. Hold on, I got to look it up. Author of Rolling Stone. Okay. Author of Rolling in the Deep, not Rolling in the Deep. I think it was something Eiley or something. Adele. I know you guys were probably saying it by the time I figured this out. Adele. So it's like Adele or Eminem or rappers who talk about, you know, stuff. So what they're doing is they're taking their painful experience and they're transforming it into a flower, okay? That's why they say the lotus, right? All the shitty experiences that you've had in life, it has its seed of equivalent, which is the positive aspects, because you can't have light without dark. So no matter how shitty your experience is, no matter how down, sad, depressed you are, it is absolutely necessary in order for you to experience the opposite extreme. And depending on how much of a master transmuter you are, in other words, an alchemist, right? Alchemy, depending on how masterful you are with your alchemical processes or alchemy in life, you can change a painful experience into a pleasure one right then and there. Now, it takes practice, and it'll be hard depending on which type of experience, varying degrees of experience that you have, okay? So the transmutation process is taking the pain, which I'll get to sexual energy later, and turning it into something that is of another nature, okay? So let's say Eminem talks about his painful past and he turns it into a rap. Adele talks about his heartbreak, turns it into a song so that someone can enjoy. Well, essentially, transmutation is turning one thing into another, right? It's transforming, right? So same thing at the gym. You're taking that raw desire for attraction towards that female and you're turning it into a process of lift more weights, more masculinity. Show her my macho masculine. Yeah, weights. Look at me now. Yeah, so you're peacocking, okay? Now, the third and final way of how sexual transmutation on a subtle level, because you won't always have that girl in front of you provoking you, right? You won't always have that treasurer or secretary or that beautiful girl in your presence. So the third and more subtle form of transmutation is what I've been teaching in my previous video, how to do sexual transmutation. It's the 4 steps. Number 1, conserve your energy. Number 2, cultivate your energy. Number 3, circulate your energy. And number 4, conserve your energy. So the way this works in the background is through semen retention and not leaking energy through other wasteful activities, not just semen, right? Not just porn and masturbation, but subservient activities that don't serve your highest good, plugging those vices, plugging those wasteful behaviors, stop engaging in those. Now you have an abundance of raw sexual energy. If you read my free guide, it talks about just get rid of the term sexual energy. Stop plaguing yourself with sexuality, okay? It's not just sexual energy. It's life force, creative energy, not sexual energy. Sexual energy in your balls and your genitals. That is energy at your sexual organs, which is felt as sexual energy. But anyways, back to what I was saying. You conserve, you cultivate through the 6 pillars of sexual energy, engaging in what I call the 6 pillars of supreme sexual energy that will help amplify the existing life force within your body. So once you conserve your energy, you stop it from leaking. Now you cultivate it. You allow it to build within your being so that you have a super just oozing of sexual energy in your body, because there's so much life force in your body, right? The way I compare this is like a fruit tree, okay? Think about an apple tree, and it has a bunch of like fruits that is like ready to go, right? It looks so juicy, okay? That tree looks so juicy. Everyone wants to take a bite from it, okay? When you're conserving your energy, when you're transmuting your energy, think of yourself as like a fruit tree that has a bunch of fruits that is just dangling, and people just want to come and take your fruits, okay? They want to bite into you. They want your life force energy, bro. Okay, so that's the most basic way to understand it. So now that you have that cultivated energy, you want to circulate, you want to transform it. So essentially turning into the fruit. So once you circulate that energy and it goes throughout your limbs, now you're vibrating at a high degree because you're allowing that energy to move throughout your body. And see why I'm moving my hands? Because it's creating motion. It's allowing that energy to flow. Because if I'm just staying here, right, shrugged up, like contracted state, right? Contracted state that most people are, there's no life force, right? There's no vigor and vitality. But if I'm moving my body and I'm pushing my energy to you and I'm just expressing and transforming that energy, which is the fourth principle, I'm turning it into a different essence. So the way you do this subtly is you allow that excessive energy to build up, conserve, circulate, and then conserve, cultivate, circulate, and then you transform it into something, someone, or whatever it is. So you take that raw, abundant of excessive energy that you then circulate it and you transform it into a program, into a speech, right? Or into a poem, into a rap, into a song, into a skill set, because you have so much energy. It's waiting to be expressed. If it doesn't get expressed, it gets suppressed, repressed, and depressed, and then you become, just chaotic, right? You become excessively chaotic, guys. Okay, so anyways, that's how sexual energy works, and that's how it feels like, because once you understand, that's why I call it understanding the framework of sexual energy. Once you understand how it works, now you will see it play out in everything, okay? Because you have an abundant energy that exists within inside of you, it's waiting to be expressed in one way or another. And if you don't express it through sex and you channel that energy creatively into the work that you do, now the work you do gets magnetized with your sexual energy, okay? The video you're watching, right now you are absorbing my energy, okay? If you aren't distracted, if you aren't thinking out into other nature, I realized this when I was watching personal development videos. What you're doing is you're imbibing, you're taking in, you're resonating with my energy, and my energy, whatever I'm feeling, you're starting to feel within your own body, okay? We're connecting, there's a resonance that's going on. That's why people want to be around people who have a lot of sexual energy, a lot of vigor and vitality, because that shit rubs off on them, right? They feel good when they're around them because there's so much universal God force around you, and it's like splashing onto them. They're like, oh, give it to me, give it to me. They just want to be in your presence. They want to eat your fruit. Okay, so that's what sexual energy feels like. It's not just the hot and heavy sexual energy that you feel when you're aroused, when you're having sex with someone. There are different levels of intensity. There are different levels of sexual energy. But the easiest way to understand it is, that amplification in your life force, whether it's because you saw a beautiful girl or you see something that arouses you energetically, not necessarily sexually, right? You go into a shop, a store, you go into an event, a music festival, and then you're just invigorated with the life force, right, of the field. Well, when you do see sexual transmutation, you have an abundance of life force, that force will circulate and permeate your body without you ever have to do anything, okay? So guys, it's Kevin with Optimize Essentials. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you share it with someone or you give me a comment down below if you have any questions. And stay subscribed because I got a ton of videos coming your way. Peace.